Hello. Good morning. Happy Friday, August 29th, 2025. I am Manila Chan. That over there is Ted Rall. You are tuned in to the Ted Manila Information Show, TMI for short, because we bring you way too much information. We're live Monday through Friday, 10 a.m. Eastern Time. So please be sure to hit the like, the follow, the subscribe, the thumbs up, the share, all of that. All the things to help this little channel. Just hit those buttons and we're good to go every day. You got to do that every day, though, every time you tune in, because that's how them algorithms be working. We got to warn you, though, next Monday is Labor Day, America's unofficial end of summer. That's how we celebrate, right?
And also a glorious socialist-oriented holiday that was founded in the wake of extreme militant labor violence in the 19th century and was inspired by the Socialist Party and the communists. And so I was very happy to see President Trump Xing today in favor of Labor Day. That means it's welcome aboard, Mr. President, to the socialist movement. Did
he tweet or did he just truth it and then somebody?
Well, he tweeted. The White House issued a thing that just said that showed Trump serving burgers at McDonald's, and it said Labor Day is soon, and and with an American flag. So it's like that's I take that as an honor. So I mean, I'm sure I know Trump is a very avid student of American history and particularly of left-wing movements, and I know that he knows that Labor Day came out of the giant Pullman strike that was that basically brought America to its knees in the late 1800s, and that President Grover Cleveland signed it into law in order to try to basically assuage the far left. So thank you, Mr. President.
So because of that, all those things that Ted just outlined, we are not here this coming Monday because we follow the bank holidays. Why not? On today's show, we're going to cover, it's Fun Friday, so we are going to cover some kind of, they're news, but they're kind of odd stories. Like, for example, so we just had the RNC, right? This is how they chose Donald Trump to be the nominee of the Republican Party. So Trump is saying we need to throw another big party. I don't know how that's going to work out budget-wise for the Republicans, Ted, and what that all entails. Like, who are they trying to?
Cash, Manila, no problem. They have money.
The
Democrats want to do it too, though, and they're not. Yeah. They're broke.
They are not flush. They are not. Right. It's the other way around. Usually, it's the other way around.
That's true.
Usually, it's the Democrats that are flooded with corporate money. This time, I wonder whose money is going all into these coffers. But we'll get into that story.
Not defense contractors at all.
No. Then we'll also talk about this weird executive order that Donald Trump signed about architecture. It's so weird to me. It is so weird to me. I know that the last two presidents, this one and the one before him, they were signing executive orders about the most inane shit. I mean, seriously, Ted, like just an executive order about keeping a certain genre of design.
I think this is actually more serious than you think, but we'll get into that.
I don't like it. I think it's a dumb executive order.
Save it for the show.
We'll get into that, but I think it's dumb. Also, with gross story out of Ted's motherland in France.
Of course, I couldn't resist making you talk about this when I saw it.
So it's why do we need a maggot farm?
You'll see.
I know. We'll tell you.
There's too many maggots to fit into the RNC and the DNC.
So this is actually we'll tell you about a maggot farm, what it does, and I wonder why they're having regulatory issues with expansion and whatever. But Yeah, and it leads perfectly into the story that I wanted that
Mm-hmm.
just weaves in. Last but not least is expiration dates. At least here in America, I don't know what they are in Europe. I've seen them, um, and they also have confusing language in Europe. But here in the U.S., we have sell by, best by, best if consumed by,
Mm-hmm.
expiry. We have,
Best if used by. Yeah.
just all these dates of when your food expires or may not be its best because maybe it doesn't really actually expire. Because if you watch, for example, like The Walking Dead,
Mm-hmm.
they would find like old cans of, you know, foods that say, let's say it's a European import item. It says expiry date. Because I remember the characters would read the date out loud, and presumably it's like 5 years in the past expired. Um, and they would eat it anyway, and they were fine.
And that's science because it's in The Walking Dead.
It was in The Walking Dead. It's post-apocalyptic, Ted.
Although I have to admit, I do believe canned foods last a long time.
Oh, for sure. And if there is time, speaking of The Walking Dead and other shows, why do good shows get canceled? I've got a few right now that I'm angry about as we go into the fall season.
Hey, some of us
Some of
never
my
got
favorite
over the
shows.
cancellation of Star Trek.
I'm really mad about a different alien show.
We'll get into
if there's
that.
time, we'll get into that. So with that, let's get into our fun Friday conversation. Maggots. Can't wait.
Yum, yum, yum.
Yum. All right, let's do it.
President Trump suggested yesterday that the GOP host another additional national convention before the midterms next year in order to highlight their talent. An unusual move, but the Democrats are also considering the same thing. Sort of a midterm political convention would come ahead of a historically difficult election year for the party in power. But Trump predicted in a social media post that the GOP would nevertheless win big in the midterms, all caps, based on the party's achievements since he returned to the White House. In that light, I am thinking of recommending a national convention to the Republican Party just prior to the midterms. Trump said, "It has never been done before. Stay tuned, all caps, 3 exclamation marks." The major parties typically hold their conventions every 4 years, of course, during the summer before the elections. The DNC's already been mulling a midterm convention, and Chairman Ken Martin supports the idea, according to a Democratic official, speaking on the condition of anonymity because, I don't know, he's afraid of talking about this. I don't know why. Trump suggested a Republican convention the day after Axios reported that the DNC was considering the same thing. To showcase our tremendous
Not
candidates.
to be outdone, Ted.
Never. Running up and down the ballot and harness the amazing grassroots energy we're already seeing. Several options are on the table for next year, including hosting a large-scale gathering before the midterms. DNC spokesman Abby Rahman said in a statement. Republicans are looking to defend both their House and Senate majorities next year. They're kind of like things are looking rough, particularly in the House. Trump is especially concerned about that House majority, which is razor thin. That's why he's been pushing for the gerrymandering in Texas and other red states. House Speaker Mike Johnson backed the idea right away. Yes, he said, all caps, Mr. President, let's go. 4 exclamation marks, not to be outdone.
Wow, not to be outdone.
The party that controls the White House usually does poorly in the first midterm elections. I think of examples like Ronald Reagan, who got destroyed by the Democrats in 1982. Bill Clinton, who got destroyed by the Republicans in 1994, and so on. Republicans are also grappling with an unpopular president in Trump, who only has a 37% approval rating as of 2 days ago, according to the Quinnipiac poll. The decision would ultimately be up to the Republican National Committee, as if they wouldn't just do exactly what Trump told them. Joe Gruters is a staunch Trump ally. He's the current chairman. White House Press Secretary Carolyn Leavitt declined to comment on the idea of a midterm convention, but said there's so much that Republicans have accomplished, and Trump wants to see that celebrated. By the way, it's not really true, Manila, that there's no precedent for this at all. But but it's certainly, there's been low profile sort of midterm and even off-year gatherings of political parties historically, but they were kind of like low profile, not like, the big shindig nationally televised.
Like what
things
though?
that
I
we're
can't
used
think
to.
of any.
Well, they've gotten together and discussed policy stuff like that. It's been more of like an ad hoc like thing. I'd have to look it up, but I know it's happened before. But this would be the first time that they really tried. I mean, here's my main take on this.
Because remember, the convention is the big thing. Like they pick a town, like let's say, somewhere outside of Chicago, and then it's like this whole thing where the Democrats have super delegates and they all go in, but then here or with the Republicans here in this situation, it's just whoever is a fanboy or fangirl, you buy tickets and you go and you're like, yeah, and you're wearing your crazy hats and your outfits.
You have to be a delegate to the convention, right? This would have to be done differently because there's no presidential election. Therefore, there's no delegates.
Right. So, like, who goes?
I assume,
like, who would go? You're a fanboy or a fangirl.
They would obviously. I mean, I assume they would send delegations from the various states who are composed of party officials and including and politicians. I mean, it's the same way that the delegates are picked. I mean, I was a delegate once. You're active in the party. You're a state rep, or you're running for state rep, or whatever. They just like the cut of your jib and they send you. So that's how this would be. I want to point out though, Manila, that there's no drama in the RNC or the DNC, the normal ones that happen anymore, right? Because the outcomes are already predetermined. And so there might have been some drama last year if the Democrats had allowed it, an open convention. There could have been, after the withdrawal of Joe Biden, there could have been a scrum over the nomination.
That's what should have happened, though.
Well, but then, Manila, we would have been denied. The coronation is what gave us President Kamala Harris and her destroy the way she defeated Donald Trump.
Which, by the way, we should
I love
point
her
out
presidency so far. So,
we should point out, though, that Madam President has just lost her Secret Service extended detail.
She has, and it's that's. By the way, I just want to say, Donald Trump's done a lot of low shit in his life. Some of it involving Stormy Daniels, and I have never. But this is very, very low.
Petty, but at the same time, I mean, how long did Al Gore have Secret Service detail?
I would imagine for several years, but that's not really even the point. I mean, if I were advising Trump, I'd say what I'd say is like, look, Mr. President, you have to be careful. If something happens to her, it's going to be on you, and it will destroy your presidency in a way that nothing else you've done will. I mean, if something happened to her, and it happened because of she didn't have. If Democrats could credibly say she didn't have as much security as she should have because Trump took it away, holy shit!
Ted, don't give any ideas.
Huge.
False flag. Don't give any ideas. The Democrats might go, we need a sacrificial lamb.
Well, sure. I mean, I guess they could just look. She is a woman of color. She could just prosecute herself and have herself sent to death row despite being innocent, because that's what she did when she was a prosecutor to black guys. But hey, hello, San Quentin, here I come. But I mean, honestly,
I think you're missing what I'm. I think you're not picking up what I'm putting down, Ted.
No, I'm deliberately I'm deliberately sidestepping it.
Okay.
But like that's definitely a. No, I mean, I think she. I think it's really bad. It's just like a chance not worth taking. Makes him look like an asshole.
Well, do they traditionally, when you leave office, do you traditionally get detail for years and years and years? I feel I don't.
I mean,
I know as a president,
honestly, you should.
I know as a president, you do. Like Jimmy Carter had Secret Service until the day he died. Like,
rightly so. If he wanted it, as far as I'm concerned, if you want it, it should be there for you.
But I don't remember hearing about
out of an abundance of caution. I mean, she was vice president like literally months ago. I mean, she was vice president this year. I mean, I agree that it's a little. It hasn't been like holy shit. Not to mention another mistake that he made. He just put her back in the news.
I know
that's dumb. So anyway.
I do find that kind of petty.
But
Let's
get back to
maybe
these
that's what they're going to
conventions.
celebrate.
So there's
that's
no
what they're
drama.
gonna celebrate.
The thing is,
convention, they're saving money, Ted. They're saving money on Secret Service detail. They Bolton, like the Walrus has lost his private security detail or whatever they gave him.
That does not sadden me at all.
He's taken away Secret Service detail from a lot of people.
No, it wasn't a Secret Service.
Or security. They had security detail.
Security clearance. That's not the same.
It was clearance, but under Biden's era, Bolton was granted some sort of security detail because he was on the Iranian kill list.
Well, sometimes you got to give it to the Iranians. They're on the right track sometimes.
But then
saving
money.
Let's get back to these midterm conventions. So the thing is, okay, it's funny to me that the Democrats came up with this idea first. Okay, so you're going to have a big to-do. Well, I mean, what do you have to announce? What do you have to showcase? I mean, it's like they still haven't resolved the split between the progressive and the corporatist wing. They still haven't resolved what their party stands for. They still don't understand why they lost. They don't understand why their polls are in the toilet. Maybe they should get there. Maybe they should get there. Right now, they're like a couple who's going through a horrible divorce. The house is on fire, and they want to throw a party for the whole neighborhood and invite everyone over. Maybe just wait. Fix your shit.
You're saying you get why the Republicans would have one?
More so.
Okay.
The Democrats' house is completely. The Democrats' house is on fire. Now, the Republicans have, if I'm J.D. Vance, I'm not happy about this because it kind of opens up some opportunities for other possible presidential contenders for 2028 to get some oxygen.
Though. He's the heir apparent, though.
Right. That's exactly what I'm saying.
Like I don't think anybody would step up to J.D. Vance. I really don't think so. I really don't think they would try to claim that mantle and take that from Vance. I think he's the heir apparent. I think there might be some randos, but I don't think it's any real contenders.
The knives are under the togas. They're waiting for
maybe.
JD doesn't have the same
gravitas.
He doesn't possess the party. It's not like Trump can't just hand the party over to JD Vance.
He has to hand it to somebody.
Well, he can't hand it to anybody because the truth is he hasn't groomed the successor really. I mean, he hasn't made Vance. He hasn't bigified Vance. You'd have to bigify him. He's not bigified.
That's what this party would be.
It's still, if I have a friend who's a Republican thinking of running in 2028, I'm going to say it's open. You've got options.
Really? I don't guarantee I don't know. I can almost guarantee that Vance
it's an open field for 2028. It is.
I don't think so. I think Vance is almost guaranteed the nomination. For the Democrats.
Yeah, but this an RNC 2026 it would be an anti-Vance.
It could harm Vance, yes, in the sense that it can showcase some other talent and make him less likely to be like the special boy, the next boy in line. But for the Democrats, 100% I agree with you, is that they've got nobody sitting on the bench right now. I mean, literally, the stables are bare, and I've said it for a long time. As much as people hate the idea of President Gavin Newsom, that is who the Democrats have in line. And I mean, remember, he launched his new podcast.
The Democrats have an open field too. No question.
He's launched his new podcast. He's been lurching towards the center. He's been lurching towards the center for like a year now.
That's his mistake. He should be.
But that's what everybody does.
That's why he's going to lose. No, that's not what you do. He's in the pre-primary field.
You go to the
that's
national.
What you do in the general election.
I know.
He's not,
when you go to the national,
now, he's trying. If he wants to get the Democratic Party behind him, he needs to be a left-wing firebrand. That's why he's not going to be the nominee.
But I think the nominee
will be a left-wing firebrand next time.
Because California has that ranked choice stuff now, so I wonder if that plays into it. Because I don't fully get how ranked choice stuff works.
Ranked choice voting, that's only on the state level, though.
Is it though?
Yeah.
But when they go to the party, I don't know what the Democrat. I don't know how they. I don't know how they
Wait, what do you
pick their
mean?
so when all these people decide to, I don't know what's going on with California anymore. I seriously don't understand how they're going to pony up anybody.
Wait, I don't understand. I don't understand what you're getting at.
I don't get it either. That's what I'm saying. I'm saying,
What are you asking?
I think Gavin Newsom is going to throw his hat in the ring and say,
Yeah,
I'm going
he
to run
will.
for president.
He will.
And then Californians are going to say, yay, because we know his name. And then everybody that would ordinarily run for whatever office.
He doesn't need to get any vote from any Californians to run for president at all. He doesn't need a single vote from California at all. He doesn't have to be.
Of course he does.
He just needs to.
We have like 55 electoral votes. Like he needs California to fully support him.
Sure, and he will have them because he's the governor. But the point is that's not the determinant. He could theoretically win without California. But it doesn't matter because he's running to the right is not a recipe for victory inside the Democratic Party. It's a recipe
Gavin Newsom is not going to, he's not going to win any Republican state. So the reality for him, his path to the White House he'd have to clinch his home state. He'd have to.
Democrats
There's no other way.
Democratic nominee Clovis will win California. It doesn't matter. No,
As
California is not in play, okay, at all.
For anybody that's a red hat wearing person.
Yeah, no, there's no world in which a Republican can carry the state of California in a national election.
That's what I'm saying. Like on the national scene, Gavin Newsom has to make sure he's favored by Californians, and he needs that support going in.
He needs to get 270 electoral votes.
I know but he needs the support going in, so that way, because like they say, you need. Is it Iowa? Who do you need going into like before the first round in the national? Who do they always say?
Iowa used to be first and maybe first again.
First,
remember they changed it last time.
Right, that's why I'm confused. Like who?
Iowa caucus is first. Well, so Iowa caucus, then the first primary, which is New Hampshire, then South Carolina.
So remember they changed it with Joe Biden. That's why I'm confused. Like because traditionally it was.
It's always Iowa. Yeah, it's probably going to go back to that.
So you need the wind beneath your wings coming out of there. So with the Democrats, they are such a clusterfuck. Like all they have is one brand name that they have right now is Gavin Newsom. You keep saying Pete Buttigieg. I know people know his name.
He will be the nominee.
He's not going to be the nominee.
He's not going to be. All right, what do you want to bet?
I don't know what to bet, but it ain't going to be.
You agree to adopt a cat if you lose.
I can't adopt a cat. I'm fucking allergic to cats.
So man up and stop being allergic.
Okay.
That's made up. That's totally made up.
It is not made up.
Oh, I'm allergic. There's 15 breeds that are hypoallergenic, including Russian blues.
Are they really?
If you're worthy of Russian blues. Yes, that's why.
Are they really?
It's one of the reasons I got
They're
one.
hypoallergenic?
Yeah.
Huh.
And it has nothing to do with the length of their fur or anything like that. People think it does.
It's dander.
It has to do with their saliva, the genetic marker in their saliva, because they lick themselves to clean themselves. So if you need to get a cat, so there's cats that have very, very long hair that are hypoallergenic, and cats that are very short hair that are not hypoallergenic. So it's just that. Anyway, okay, you agree to adopt a hypoallergenic cat.
No.
Okay, then what? All right,
no, I don't know yet. I have to think of the terms, but Mayor Pete is not going to be the nominee.
He will be. All right.
Like the nominee, much less even get close to winning, like getting trounced more. People so
always tell me that I'm wrong, and I'm always right every single time. So we'll see.
No, you're not.
I've always been right. Name one time when I was wrong.
Mm-hmm. The war's going to be over tomorrow. How many times have you said the war?
I never said that.
You kept saying that Ukraine war is going to be over soon. It's going to be over soon, and I was like,
soon is nebulous.
No, don't piss back on this. Don't piss back on this. Don't piss back. No. Me and Mark Sloboda were like, at the very least 6 months. You're like, no, like 6 weeks. Me and Sloboda are like, no, this grind is going to go on for several years, and you're like, no, 6 months at the most. Okay. Here we are, Ted. We're coming up on September.
Dragging the facts into it, which are
very
unfair.
So there are things that you are wrong on, but I'm going to say you're going to be wrong on Mayor
We
Pete. I
shall
don't care.
see.
I don't care how much
All right.
America has embraced the gays. They are not. Even as a DNC.
The Rumble Room agrees with you, but those are your people anyway. So
I'm going to say, look, as much as America and even Manila loves the gays, the rest of America, even within the Democratic Party, do not love the gays.
Pete, I'll make look. We could do. I'll do.
They do not.
Let's do
love
another
the gays.
episode. Well, we'll handicap 2028, and I'll explain my reasons why I think it's going to be Buttigieg.
The DNC would
Well,
rather.
It's not going to be Gavin Newsom.
Give it to slimy Gavin.
It won't be Gavin Newsom. It just won't be.
You think because he has dirt behind him with the LAPD stuff and the whole
that's part of it.
Intrastate bullshit, that doesn't matter. That stays in California.
That's part of it, but that's not. That's
Robbie.
not really why.
What, Robbie?
California is a complete basket case. I mean, you have meth zombies walking around. So I mean, all you got to do to blow up
doesn't mean he's not going to be the nominee. That's what you're missing.
He's not the governor of Arkansas like Bill Clinton. Well, nobody ever went to Arkansas. Nobody saw it. Everyone goes to California or knows someone who's been there, and they know what a shithole it is. When you're the governor of a state for 8 years and it's a shitty state, you get blamed for it.
I mean, seriously, what is he going to do? He says, "I'm going to make America look like California. You're welcome." Who the hell would want that?
Yeah, everyone thinks that California is a dangerous house. Everyone thinks California is a dangerous hellhole. Doesn't matter whether it's true or not. Everyone thinks that. Perception is reality. It's politics.
You guys are missing the point. The Democrats have no fucking buddy in their stables. Nobody.
That's not true. They've got that's not true. They've got fat JD Pritzker. They've got the yucky Kentucky guy, Andy Bashir. They've got the fake kidnap victim, Gretchen Whitmer. And they've got Josh Shapiro, whose star is riding high because the war in Gaza is looking great.
The governor of New York, Kathy Hochul.
That's true. They do have Kathy
Hochul. I could see them running her. But I'll tell you, mark my words.
I don't think they put their money
behind. The fireworks is going to be with the Republicans, because if he really does get behind a primary challenge between going after Thomas Massey and Marjorie Taylor Greene, if they survive, mark my words, I could see them running for president and taking out the heir apparent. Because
Marjorie Taylor Greene has been full spectrum common sense lately. I mean,
I've been liking her.
I just retweeted her favorably this morning because she was talking about how there should be. Not my first time where she was like, no money should be going. The reason that she said that we should be protecting our schools from school shootings and providing more security rather than spending money on overseas wars. True. Who could argue with that?
No, I mean, Marjorie's been pretty accurate the last couple months.
No, the Democrats just have to decide how badly is they want to lose. Trump has doubled down with betraying his base, but the Republicans, though, actually have a true diversity of thought, and that's going to be the schism, because Marjorie Taylor Greene and Thomas Massey can do something that Gavin Newsom and Booty Boy Buttigieg cannot do. And that is attract people who disagree with them a lot of other things because they are right more than what they're wrong. Gavin Newsom can't do that. He said, I will make America look like
and I'll make the argument for Buttigieg, and I think Buttigieg is smart enough to pivot on the right things to at least get. I'm not saying he can be elected. I'm not saying he can't. I'm just saying he can be he will more likely than not be the nominee.
Well, the thing is, just take out the fact that he's a sword swallower. What has he actually accomplished?
Right. That's
in Washington D.C. I mean, you can
that
be
didn't stop
millionaire by
Kamala
doing
Harris
nothing.
from becoming the nominee, did it?
Well, of course not. But then she got shellacked. So I mean,
she definitely
like I said, I'm not saying Mayor Pete can be elected. I'm just saying he can be.
This
nominated.
is right and this is the whole point of the early. Obviously, the DNC is like, wait, we're hearing the RNC wants to have an early party. We need to have an early party.
No, that's not what happened. No, that's not what happened.
Or the other way around.
The DNC came up with the idea first. Stupid
of an
idea.
early party.
Yeah.
So they want to have their party first. Then RNC is like, well, okay, well, we got to have an early party because we're the party in power. So we got to have a party first then. And so now everyone's racing to have a party first when
I just don't see what the point of the party is, right?
I don't either.
The point of the party is like,
is.
Well, the point of the party is here's what our party is about. Here's who our people are, right? That's what the convention is. It's a big ad. All right, so
it's a big America's Got Talent, and you're like,
yeah,
here's so and so.
It's a big
talent
ad,
show,
right? So if you're each party, you have to put your best foot forward, and I think both parties do have some candidates, right? The Republicans have a record to run on right now, and whether you like that record or not, they do have a record. Democrats don't currently have a record to run on. There's no record at all because they're not in power, and so I think they're in a bad state. They don't have. You can't really just sort of do. They think they're putting the cart before the horse. They need to get a platform down that's carefully that brings their party together and has wide appeal to the American public, and then throw the party. I guess they could do it between now and then, but right now it doesn't. They need to get started.
No, their messaging is all over the place. Their messaging is everywhere right now.
Well, the Democrats, though, here's the problem: though, the Democrats actually do have a record. I wish they didn't, because they didn't actually have a chance, but they do. Their record for the last 4 years is that this senile old man is fine. Don't trust your lying eyes. We will lie to you to your face because you're stupid plebs.
And we'll call you names while we do it.
Yeah. So, I mean,
you're racist, cis, white,
their
Christian, Robbie, shut up.
Credibility is in the fucking toilet. And the party's completely disunited because all the progressive, wing of the Democratic Party, which is 70+% of the vote of the Democrats, they've been told, fuck you, we don't need you, don't vote for us. We're just going to put in corporatists no matter what. We're seeing it, by the way. The Mamdani thing shows that the Democrats haven't learned their fucking lesson. That's why the National Democrats,
they were really pissed off about
Hillary and Hakeem and all those people, they're refusing to endorse Mamdani. He's their fucking nominee for the mayor of the biggest city in the country, and they're not going to endorse him? I mean, and he's going to win. And he's not going to owe them.
They're tone deaf.
He will not owe them at all. And believe me, every progressive is watching this, and they're thinking, "Oh, the DNC, they haven't changed at all."
Of course not. I'll tell you, my wet dream, what I would love to see happen. I mean this sincerely. I would love to see Josh Shapiro and Gavin Newsom run together as a ticket against Marjorie Taylor Greene and Thomas Massey. Because
Josh Shapiro is total political suicide because of Gaza.
100%. That's what I'm saying. But what can the Democrats do? It's the same thing with J.D. Vance. I mean, you go, you kiss the wall, you get on your knees for your donors, and then you have these two people saying, our entire country's on fire, things are falling apart, and all you fuckers can do is talk about Israel all day. That's not America first.
No.
And
Peter Thiel is going to be
losing.
Peter Thiel is going to be J.D. Vance's Elon.
Of course he is. But that's the question, though. Who's going to have more power, though? One oligarch or hundreds of thousands of small-time donors rallying behind in a grassroots populist revolt? That's going to tell the story.
Yeah, generally speaking, we know how that generally goes. I'm on Team Robbie on this. All right, let's keep going. We got.
Oh wait. Well-dressed nerd. Thank you for the donation. He says, "Don't forget the Manchurian candidate, Beto O'Rourke. Dems will insert him. Pete will be the VP pick. They'll lose, but then Pete runs in 2032. Boom." I mean, Pete's young.
I like well-dressed
Beto,
nerd, I don't know about that.
Beto, that's true. They might just let 2028 go, Ted. They might.
Morbid.
I mean, that's.
All right, let's get to the next thing.
Morbid says Josh Shapiro hates.
I have a feeling, Robbie, you should probably stay on for this one. All right, President Trump signed an executive order that requires federal buildings in D.C. to maintain a classical Greco-Roman architectural style. The marbles, the columns, the austere hallways of the Supreme Court and the Capitol, and so on. The new guidelines, which they call Making Federal Architecture Beautiful Again, also discourage federal construction projects nationwide from choosing modernist styles like Brutalism. Because of their proven ability to meet these requirements, classical and traditional architecture are preferred modes of architectural design, the order says. Major emphasis should be placed on the choice of designs that embody architectural excellence. Architects had expected the new rules ever since the White House released a memo calling for federal buildings to respect classical architectural heritage. That's a throwback to Trump's first-term executive order that was then rescinded by Biden. Architecture should be of its moment, says Liz Waitkus, executive director of Docomomo US, a nonprofit dedicated to 20th century architecture. It seems the current administration wants to look back and not forward. The executive order said that Washington and Jefferson modeled buildings in D.C., including the White House, on the architecture of ancient Athens and Rome. By the way, the White House is actually modeled on a French manor house, which is still around, and it looks, except it's not white, it's like a sort of gray, but it's kind of weird and wild if you ever look it up online. The new guidelines will affect several federal projects, according to Justin Schubau, president of the National Civic Art Society, a nonprofit that helped draft the order. He said the designs for the new courthouses in places like Hartford and Chattanooga would need to follow the executive order. In recent years, courthouses with a modern style have opened in cities like San Antonio and Harrisburg, Pennsylvania. For too long, federal architecture has been in a dismal state, he said in a statement, recognizing the public's disdain of our more recent government buildings. He's ensuring that new edifices will be beautiful, dignified, and admired by the common person. Federal buildings will once again be noble symbols of our democracy. The White House has taken measures in recent months to exert more control over the design and planning of federal architecture. It has eyed plans for the redevelopment of Southwest Washington, where several buildings are under consideration for disposal, meaning they could be torn down and replaced. These include the James V. Forrestal building, which is where the Department of Energy is, and the James L. Whitten building, where the Department of Agriculture is. The president also announced a ballroom expansion to the White House.
Huge.
That's being overseen by the architect James McCreary II. Preservationists worry that the new order is encoding a distaste for brutalism, a popular style of architecture in the post-war era during a boom in the construction of public projects like universities, libraries, and administrative offices. Architects closely associated with that style, including Paul Rudolph and Marcel Breuer, advanced the use of exposed concrete to build functional spaces of openness and warmth. Warmth is not really a word that I would attribute to brutalism. Critics, however, have frequently described the style as cold and elitist. It was frequently used in federal complexes like the J. Edgar Hoover building, which opened north of the National Mall in the 70s, to negative reviews that described it as arrogant and overbearing. It was also very Soviet influenced.
Yes.
So I have thoughts about this, but why don't you guys
not
go
warm.
ahead?
Not warm. Well, first of all, I am not a fan of these like ornate, intricate, carved out things that are like Roman, Greco. This I just don't like. It's not for me. It's very like Marie
the Supreme
Antoinette
Court building, or
not. I mean, I get that they're old and fine. They can look that way. If it were up to me, I wouldn't make a dupe or replicate that look. But I'm also not a fan of this ugly, bland, dead, no interest brutalism design. Like the fucking Hoover building is horrendous. The Department of Agriculture, by the way,
Washington Post building is brutalist. One of the most famous examples of brutalism is the Government Center in Boston.
I don't know what that one looks like.
Yeah, it's
but like here downtown, when you go from Virginia into downtown DC on the 14th Street Bridge, you're often stuck in traffic. Once you cross the bridge and you land like on DC proper, you're just stuck in traffic there, and you look around and you're like, damn, the Department of Agriculture is fucking huge. And that whole, I mean, it's multiple city blocks big, right?
Well,
huge.
A lot of those cabinet departments are like that. The Treasury building is massive.
Blocks and blocks long, big, tall. And it's just this dead, soulless, brutalist design. And you can see things falling apart from the street. Like you can see there's like,
well, because it's cheap
some of them,
architecture. I mean, the
it's
truth is
like
that
falling apart.
Brutalism was cheaply made. That's part of the reason that it emerged in the post-war era. And I think the symbolism of
civilizational decline.
But the symbolism of Greco-Roman, I think it started out Jefferson and Washington. They were like, they wanted to legitimize their new little country, and put it on the world stage. And
Well,
they're
yeah,
like, look,
because
we're
it was
drawing,
hot
we're drawing
250
from
years
Athens
ago.
and Rome, right? But then I think in the modern era, to me, the 20th century Greco-Roman thing, it's meant to convey empire. At least it does to me, Robbie. I'm curious what you think.
I would read it that
to
way.
me, that's how I read it. Like sort of like,
can we
this
do
is
Frank
Rome.
Lloyd Wright?
It's not Greece. It's Rome. It's empire. And that's
can we do
when I
waterfall
drive around,
Frank Lloyd Wright style?
well, that thing's falling down, so that's probably not
I know,
a good idea.
but the style. I'm saying the style. Frank Lloyd Wright from the mid 1950s and 60s. Everything before Frank Lloyd Wright did, like from the 1940s and in the late 1800s, and not my jam.
Some of it's very cool. My dentist office when I was a
Mm.
kid in Ohio was the Frank Lloyd Wright Professional Building, and it was modeled
How-
after a
what
chambered
year?
nautilus. And you entered in the mouth of the nautilus, and then you went around in a circle in order to get inside.
Like
You
the
know,
Guggenheim?
The
Like you're going
Guggenheim is
around and
more like
around?
that. Yeah, like that. Yeah, kind of. Yeah.
See,
Anyway.
I don't like that. I like the beautiful
I read Empire
functional
in
design.
Greco-Roman. But I do also think that there's something, the architect, the critic who said architecture should be of its moment. I think that's true. Architecture is art, and it should be of its moment.
Of its moment. And if we are supposed to reflect that, like I choose waterfall, the waterfall building,
Falling
home.
water.
Falling water. Sorry. I had a rough night last night. Kiddo. Falling water. Is that it's integrated into this beautiful scenic,
Middle of
woods. It's integrated into a waterfall, into literally a waterfall, right? It's built into part of the natural scenery, and I would feel like
it's a guy's house. I mean, that's not the same thing
I know.
as like
No, but
building
my
a
point is
giant cabinet.
the
department
clean
building.
lines, but you can do those clean lines. You can use wood and beam along with like concrete and man-made materials and incorporate natural elements. That's what's really missing in Washington, D.C. is you don't have buildings that do that. Like when you go international, like you go to like, I don't know, like Indonesia, like their fucking airports have like built-in rainforests in there. Like that's what we need here. Like we're acknowledging the beauty of America's like the nature that is available here in the Northwest or Northeast, excuse me. Wow, what is wrong with me today? And you integrate some of that stuff like the rock and we have so much, and this is coming from a Californian who was shocked to see so much green and trees and just vivid life when I first moved to DC, right? In the spring, summer of 2014. I'd never seen so much greenery. Why don't we integrate that into our buildings to show that America actually does care about lush greenery and plants and nature?
Because we're
Don't
not
we
hippies.
care?
No, we don't.
Oh my God.
Like Obama's portrait, where he's like living inside the shrubbery for some reason.
Yeah, I mean, no. To answer Ted's question, I mean, the classical architecture was developed by the Greeks, and then the Romans just adopted it because the Greeks back then knew how to build stuff. They've forgotten how, unfortunately. I wish they remember how to build stuff again. The whole point of building these kind of buildings is to awe the population. That's the whole point. I mean, that's the reason why the Cologne Cathedral took 800 years to build. I've never been there, but I've seen pictures. I've not traveled as much as y'all have. But the entire point of it is, though, to Ted's point, is to show the power of the state. I mean, whether it's empire or republic. That's the entire point. But more to it, I think that here in America, I think a big part of the problem is that we can't even build a subway anymore. And so America looks and it feels like a country's on decline. And a lot of that is up here. It's here in the head. How the Bible says there's no vision, the people perish. Well, that's where we are. How do you address that? You address it by building something that is truly beautiful. Like what I'd love to see would be a new building, looks like the Parthenon from Rome, with the oculus up there with the dome, and just something that says we can do this. I think that would go a long way just from symbolism.
It'd be better than what we have right now in downtown DC. I'll tell you that, because it's just ugly. When you're like when it's cherry blossom season, I mean, I gotta admit how, I'm actually like awed by the scenery in downtown DC in early spring when it's cherry blossom season. Like the birds are out, the cherry blossom trees, like it looks like it's cotton candy surrounding the water, just it's beautiful. It looks so beautiful. The grass is lush and green. And then you have all of these ugly concrete block buildings that are
That's
just
very Soviet.
it's so ugly.
There's definitely
so
a Soviet influence in DC.
it's so ugly.
Sure. Let me tell you though, that Soviet stuff in the Soviet Union was a lot cooler, and there's a lot of
when it
very
functioned,
experimental, strange, and awesome architecture.
That might be
online. It's
but
amazing.
it has to. So there's also enough studies we know now that buildings and the architecture can actually, even as far as like painting a certain color inside the office building, it can impact how workers, employees, moods, how well they
100%.
function. So like if you incorporate more nature into it, you will have a happier workforce. You will have a more productive workforce. You will have just a happier, thus happier society.
Government buildings are not about that.
You talked about setting, though. Setting is part of it, right? And so Washington D.C. is a city that has a lot of empty space. It has a lot of like big open areas, right? It has like a lot of parks and plazas. There's the Washington Mall.
Yeah.
There's the Ellipse. And there's like lots of random empty lawn plazas, like where the Vietnam War Memorial is and stuff like that. And so I think there's always been a temptation on the part of architects to put stuff that's grandiose in front of it. One of the most modern new buildings in DC is the new African American History Museum. That's, it basically takes architectural cues from Africa, from African architecture.
It's very out of place.
Specifically from Timbuktu, right? From the classic, from the old city of Timbuktu. I'm
not saying it's an ugly building, Ted, but I will say it's super out of place because it's right at the corner of 14th Street, right? It's like right at the corner of 14th and
it has weird feng shui from the way that it's placed. Yeah.
Where it's placed.
It feels like it's facing 90 degrees the wrong way, right?
It just shouldn't be at that corner. I don't know why they put it right at that corner. And it's the only
lot of it.
The one
DC
building
kind of feels like it doesn't really have a skyline. It feels like it's a city that like looks like a Monopoly board after the game's been going on for 3 hours. Where it's like, for example, there's all the Smithsonian's like air and space side by side. Like this one go here, then this one go here, then this one go here, and it's like boom, boom, boom. But there's no like grand plan for it. And
but see, can that be as bad? I mean, look. When you fly into London, for example, right, and you see, I don't know what the building is called, but it looks like a giant Easter egg in my mind. That glass, kind of like a long Easter egg looking building. It kind of looks like one of the Hearst buildings in New York. I forget what the one in London is called, but yeah, it's like the newer. I forget what the name of that building.
Are you talking about? I'm sorry, I was reading the wrong.
In London, it looks to me like an elongated Easter egg. In London, it's like kind of shaped like an egg, but longer. Well, I haven't been in like 10 years. But when you fly into London, there's a mishmash of like glass and steel buildings. And then you have a bunch of these old, Charles Dickens era looking.
That's what Paris is like. Paris is like basically a hodgepodge. It's basically a Beaux-Arts city. But then it's got a lot
DC
of modern.
But that gives it its personality. So DC doesn't even have that.
What?
DC doesn't even have that charm.
Well,
so,
I think
I've
the
never
point
been
is
to DC.
This order will have an effect because, unlike a lot of the other ones, Trump can do this. I mean, this will be the federal direction of architecture under his presidency. By the way, this is also reminiscent. Sorry, Robbie. One more thought I want to get out, and then you can have the mic. But I was going to say also, doesn't this remind you a little bit of Prince when he was Prince Charles? When he also was ranting and raving about modernist architecture and how it sucked and how Greco-Roman was much better and he liked older forms. Hitler also had similar thoughts about architecture. He didn't like modernist forms. Anyway.
It's just, obviously, no, I'm speaking out of ignorance. I've never been there. Never been to DC. I've just seen pictures. But the one thing that I would like to, looking at the Smithsonian, it looks like a strip mall, just the way that looks. You saw in the pictures. This is really big, just rectangular buildings. Is that fairly accurate?
Which Smithsonian?
Pick one. I don't.
Well,
I didn't know.
there's the old original sort of late Victorian
Like the
red brick,
Smithsonian Castle?
the Smithsonian, right? And then
Yeah.
down the street, there's other ones like the Air and Space Museum, the National Gallery.
Those are all Smithsonian, Robbie. So all of those.
They're part of the
Gotcha.
Smithsonian network, I guess you.
Yeah. Before now, I had no idea that there were more than one Smithsonian.
Oh, I think there's like 20.
So
Yeah.
what I would like, what I would like to see would be build a, there's just build like this big honking the thing that looked almost like a temple, kind of like Karnak there in Egypt. With the stone and colonnades, and put all those things in that one place. I mean, a big part of the problem with Americans is that we don't build anything anymore. I mean, honestly, we don't. We don't build anything. And so instead of just having just all this stuff, you have to just go from one building to another. Just make like this one big, beautiful building, complete with statues, frescoes, everything, and just put everything in that one location.
Well, they did that for like the 1930 something World's Fair, didn't they, Ted? Like in Chicago or something like that.
Well, the 1939 World's Fair was here in New York. Are you thinking? Oh, I know what you're thinking of, the Columbian Exposition.
That one, where they built up like a fake
1892 or 1896.
Yeah, close to the turn of the century. Yeah, where they basically built up an entire fake town, a whole fake city that was like a Roman Greco look, like this whole. It's not for me. It's like this whole.
I like buildings that have like. To me, I like buildings that have like where the details are really well thought of. I mean, just yesterday I walked by the Metropolitan Life building here in Manhattan, and there was the subway entrance sign. It just says Interborough Subway because it's very old. It's like before the subways were. It's when the subways were still privatized, and it's a beautiful like 1920s sign. Like every detail of that sign is just like delicious, and like I like buildings like that too, where it's just sort of like the handrails are gorgeous and perfectly proportioned. Made of a nice material.
I would get it if, for example, all of my friends that have lived and still do live, many of them in Moscow, right? And you have the subways that look like a fucking museum, right? With like, it's probably the stuff that Donald Trump wants to turn the new ballroom into, which when I had Scotty Nell Hughes on filling in for you, Ted, I argued, is he going for the new ballroom look to be Versace or Versailles? Because there's a fine line between the two. But the Russians, given their, thousands of years of culture, you can actually see it within their subways. Then when you step outside, like the Moscow has been revitalized as a city. It's clean. It's beautiful. Like the architecture kind of makes sense. Like, and then you have the actual Kremlin building and you're like, well, that's fun. And we don't have anything like that here in DC. That's why I'm saying, like, I wish we had something where people not only step out of a clean and functioning metro, but you come out and you see something and you're like, whoa, like when you see the Kremlin, you're like,
so
that's cool.
The difference is when things like the Kremlin or the Moscow subway were built, the metro, there was no budget. That's the difference, right? Like here in this country, everything's always about the budget. Look, just the other day, Trump went over to the Federal Reserve Bank, that is currently undergoing renovations, and ragged on Jerome Powell, the Federal Reserve Chairman, on TV, complaining about how much it was going to cost. Look, if you want nice, beautiful, stunning buildings, you can't worry about how much they're going to cost. Treat it like, how about this? Treat it like it's a war. Like there's no budget. Make it nice. Have a good time.
Well, yeah, we don't have anything like that. And this is, if Trump's whole idea of sending all the natty guards to downtown DC or whatever is he says he's cleaning it up, and now he issues this whole EO on make architecture great again, then you got to actually put forth the budget for it. Like if you want it to be beautiful, things cost money. You can't just say this is the order
Well, Trump's a
And
builder, so that's something I think that he could understand. So, like, for example,
you think he would go through with this because he's a builder?
yeah. Well, I mean, because Washington, so a nation's capital is supposed to be a symbol of that nation. So right
Yes.
now,
And
if you're
and
for a
its
dictator,
grandeur.
yeah, of course.
Right.
So right now, if I'm a visiting dignitary from the Confederate States and I go to Washington D.C., I get to see meth heads and homeless people camped out
That's right.
downtown. So
They
how
greet
about
you as soon as you step off the train at
so
Union.
so the way that so what I would like to do, for example, is deport all those wonderful people to Baltimore, then Eastern Washington, tear it down and build like these massive buildings to showcase the nation. Build a temple to the nation. Build something that inspires awe. It's like this is what it means to be an American. Because right now, that's an open question. No, y'all can go to, especially both of y'all in big cities. Y'all go ask a random 100 people, what does it mean to be an American? You're going to get a bunch of different answers.
True.
Well, it's because
100
America is
people,
based on an
100
idea.
answers.
It's well, the thing is that America we have a majority of nothing. It's all we have is an idea, and that
Guys, we're
idea doesn't
running-
really exist anymore.
What it means to be on the TMI show is to run over. We're on topic
Yes.
number 2, and
That's what we do.
And yeah,
But we'll
it is
go.
what
I'll
we
go
do.
away now.
Let's
Anyway,
keep
so
going
that's
here.
all right. Let's keep going.
All
All right.
You want to read about
No,
this?
this is your. No, I don't want to read this one. I want to do my. I want to do my.
I should have made you watch B-roll on the world's
No,
biggest.
I want to do the next one.
You will do the next one. All right. On the world's biggest bug farm in Nestle, France, roughly 10 billion maggots squirm toward the day they'll be crushed, dried, and sold as an alternative form of protein powder. None of these insects will find their way into your smoothie, though. They're marketed as a more sustainable ingredient for fish feed, livestock feed, and pet food. Along the way, they're tasked with eating food waste, helping to address the source responsible for 1/10 of human-induced global greenhouse gases. In nature, black soldier fly larvae are gifted recyclers, gorging themselves on dead and decaying plants and animals, neutralizing germs, and turning rot into a source of protein that nourishes fish, birds, and other creatures. Adult black soldier flies evolved to look like wasps to scare off predators, but these guys don't bite or sting. The French startup InnovaFeed wants the fly larvae to do the same for human society on an industrial scale, clearing out thousands of tons of food waste and turning it into animal feed on ultra-efficient mechanized farms. The bug farm could serve as a model for a future industry that blends eons of insect evolution with high-tech robot monitoring to help lower carbon emissions and limit the environmental damage from our food system. But 8 years after rearing its first flies, InnovaFeed still hasn't made a profit, and some of its competitors have filed bankruptcy. The industry's future depends on finding buyers willing to pay a premium for a more sustainable source of protein and winning over regulators who've been slow to legalize feeding insects to fish and animals. Once the soldier fly larvae become 14 days old, they're killed and processed into protein powder and fats to be used in animal food. The bugs begin their lives in massive hatcheries where millions of adult flies meet to have sex, lay eggs, and after a 12-day orgy, croak. Small insect farms are fairly common in Asia, Africa, and Latin America, but this bug farm in France is huge. The original hatchery set up in a greenhouse holds 60 million flies, nearly the human population of France, the bug farmers like to point out. A second hatchery has 300 million, that's like the US. The adults don't eat, fueling their lovemaking frenzy with only the fat and protein they stored as larvae. When they do find their mate, they link their bodies in the air and then descend in a graceful spiral to the floor, where they lie having sex for about 20 minutes. Larvae, which is more than most married
That's
couples.
impressive.
Larvae hatch and grow in plastic trays stacked on 10 floors in the farm's biggest section. A couple days later, the female fly lays 500 to 1,000 tiny white eggs on a grooved wooden board. After 12 days, most of the flies have used up their fat reserves and their corpses blanket the floor. Any survivors fall victim to a fly trap, an industrial version of one you might have in your house that lures the survivors with bright lights and kills them. Then human handlers enter for the first time to collect the eggs, sweep out the dead flies, and bring in a new batch of breeding adults. In the original hatchery, flies live in nets outside. InnovaFeed has gone inside where it can control the temperature and the light. In the biggest area of the farm, a machine sprinkles insect eggs into plastic trays along with all the food they're going to need for the first stage of their growth. Black soldier fly larvae feed on dead animals, decaying plants, and feces in the wild. Because they have such a rancid diet, they've developed broad immunity to disease, which is why we should all be eating things like that, producing proteins called peptides that fight harmful microbes and encourage the growth of helpful ones. What makes the black soldier fly the crown jewel is that it can eat anything, says Jeff Tomberlin of Texas A&M. He's an entomology professor who heads the National Science Foundation Center for Insect Biomanufacturing and Innovation. So,
no, Ted.
So hungry just thinking
I
about it.
I have mentioned before on this show that I go out of my way to several hours out of my way to rural parts of Virginia to go buy direct from the farmers, to buy
You don't
cows.
have farmers markets there in DC?
They don't come up this far into Northern Virginia. And if they do, it's I'm buying in bulk, Ted. I'm buying whole sides of beef.
What?
Yeah. I'm buying like 200 pounds of beef.
You buy like a whole side of beef?
I buy a whole side of beef.
Okay, why and where do you put it? How do you store it?
I have a dedicated freezer.
Do you process it yourself? It won't. A whole side of beef's not going to fit into a freezer.
No. The farmer will cut it for, like, if you want it, they'll cut it up for you. And they'll package it and vacuum seal it for you if you want it. So these particular farms.
It's a lot of beef.
So I go out of my way for that to find grass-fed, like free range, and you can't get it very often because there's obviously only so much grass and only so much room. And so, I get how ungreen, and Dr. Reese would be really angry with me for going out of my way to find that kind of cattle. But I believe you are what you eat. You are what you eat. And if you're eating animals that are eating maggots, I think there's consequences to that. So I think there have been so far enough studies to show us that if you're eating free range chicken, free range beef, and what have you, there isn't enough studies to say that if your chicken is eating dried maggot chicken feed, that by somehow through osmosis or something, that your chicken is going to pick up, the immunity that the maggots have, and then you're therefore going to pick up the immunity from the chicken eating the maggots. And I just don't buy that. I believe that if you're eating healthy, and if the dead animal on your plate lived a nice, happy, healthy, clean life, then that's passing on the nutrients to you. I don't necessarily believe that's how that's going to work with maggots, given that the maggots eat rotten, decaying, bad things, that it eats shit, it grows in shit, and then you want to dry that out and feed it as feed to the animals? Hard pass. I would never buy from a farmer that told me, yeah, Manila, I'm feeding my chicken, my poultry that you're getting from me, my chicken are eating dried maggot feed. Oh yeah. No, thank you. So I just, that's not, yeah. I could see why they're not making money after 8 years.
Well, okay. All right.
I have strong feelings about food.
No, and you're entitled to your strong feelings about food.
Would you be open to that? Would you want to, if you went to a restaurant that said, we source our steaks, Ted Rall, and our poultry fresh from the farm, and then you find out the farm fed its animals maggot feed, dried maggot.
I figure it wouldn't be any worse than what they're eating now.
Really?
Yeah, I mean, they're eating all sorts of gross, nasty, beef, cow chow. That's like, it's industrial, it's chemical. Yeah, it's foul.
Yeah. That's why I say I specifically look
cows
for
eat bugs.
local.
What's the difference? I mean, it's a bug.
I look for specific like free range grass fed creatures if I'm going to eat them, and it lasts for like a year. when I do this, because you feel fuller, you feel more. I feel like the meat that I've only done this in the past 18 months or so, since I discovered that you could do this around here. But the meat lasts longer in the freezer. The food, I feel like when it's cooked, it's more filling and more satiating.
As
I feel
Robbie
like
says, it's better. Bugs are better than growth hormones. We should get going.
Sure,
We're
better than that.
We have
fine.
2 more stories to do.
No, we don't have to do that last one. But
I guess we could skip that. But I like that
we can
story.
skip it. It's a Netflix story. But okay, so this last one. Now that Ted's told you about all of these maggots, so let's not get maggots in your food. So when you open your fridge, how often do you check the dates on your food? The yogurt container says it's good for a few more days, but the label on the half-used barbecue sauce says it was best before last Sunday. Should you eat it? The answer is complicated. Dates on food packaging usually indicate when food tastes best, not when it's unsafe to eat. In the United States, there are roughly 50 variations of date labels, including words that say use by, sell by, packaged on, and nearly all of these things that they indicate really only when quality or freshness begins to decline. Okay, so there's a distinction and there is a difference. While it's important to mind the printed dates for some foods, an estimated 3 billion pounds of food gets thrown away each year because of confusion over the date that's labeled, according to the food waste nonprofit ReFed. Infant formula is the only product that has standardized, federally regulated date labels, leaving lots of questions about when to toss out other aging perishables. This confusion is compounded by how labels are worded, much of which is shaped by local state policy. Each has its own requirements that vary across food products, so labels may be different or simply not exist in certain states. Take dairy products. Montana, that's where Robbie is, requires milk, but not other products, to include a sell-by date that's no more than 12 days after its pasteurization. While in Pennsylvania, Morb, we're looking at you. While in Pennsylvania, that allows up to 17 days and exempts ultra pasteurized milk. Virginia, where I am, requires sell-by dates on all dairy products, whereas New York, Ted, doesn't require any date labels at all on any dairy. Okay, so ReFed offers policy finders where you can look up your state's regulation. Experts said sell-by dates are not a trick to make you buy more, but the product of a chaotic system. And for most food, eating it after the date isn't actually a health issue. Some said that you should pay attention to the label, use by or expires on, especially on perishables. But so for best if used by, here's the language, okay? Best if used by generally refers to quality, and sell by is generally for the retailers to know when they need to rotate the inventory. So if it says sell by, if you're not the grocer, you're not the seller, that's not applicable to you. If that's the only date, that basically means, I guess, use the old sniff test or the old taste test. Frozen foods usually stay good up to 1 year, even if they've been thawed and refrozen. Unopened condiments, oils, and canned goods often last several years. Ted. Told you, The Walking Dead knows all. Refrigerated eggs are often good for 3 to 5 weeks. Refrigerated dairy products usually last 1 to 3 weeks after opening. Kansas State University offers handy cupboard and freezer storage guides for a range of foods as the Department of Agriculture's Food Keeper app. So you should, I guess, Department of Agriculture, I didn't know that they had an app. The most important date labels are on meat and seafood, unpasteurized cheese and milk, baby food, and foods prepared in store. according to all the experts. The date on raw meat isn't a guarantee that it'll last that long at home, says the USDA, one of the USDA inspectors. She says, once you get it home, better to use it within about 1 to 2 days for poultry, 4 to 5 days for raw red meats like beef, pork, veal, and lamb. Home refrigerators, she says, should be kept below 40 degrees Fahrenheit. Starting next July, California will simplify date labels down to 2 standardized choices. It'll say best if used by for quality and use by for safety. Congress is considering similar federal legislation. Until then, date labels will stay messy and complicated, so consumers should use common sense and just chill, dude, when you survey the stuff in the fridge. I'm with that. I have known, obviously, because I studied marketing and stuff, Ted, and I've had clients and stuff in the food industry, and they always told me, these whatever dates are on there, they're just putting it on there to abide by whatever regulatory system whatever state they're in, whatever country they're in, or whatever. So those dates aren't necessarily hard and fast. And the true test is use the old sniffer, just and taste. Although if you're an aguizic person, then you're kind of screwed. Like one of either the Ben or the Jerry, one of those is an aguizic. One of them.
Is that like a pervert? What's an aguizic?
No, an aguizic is a person that's missing
like
the olfactory.
Oh.
They're missing their olfactory. They can't smell or taste. One of them, I've mentioned this before on the show. I don't remember which one, but either the Ben or the Jerry of Ben and Jerry's, one of those is an aguizic.
Right.
So outside of you being aguizic,
quick ad.
Don't waste your food. I hate food waste. I hate food waste.
Set your clocks, mark your calendar, and buckle up for the best NFL primetime football action starting September 4th on Westwood One. You can catch all the bone-crushing hits, last-second heroics, and edge-of-your-seat action that NFL Thursday, Sunday, and Monday nights have to offer. Whether you're tailgating, driving, or chilling at home, don't miss a single snap. Listen on the NFL app, the Westwood One Sports app, at westwoodonesports.com, or just say, Alexa, open Westwood One Sports. If it's the NFL, it's on Westwood One. All right, so we did our ad thing.
Yeah. So maybe we should leave it there because I don't think we should go into the Netflix thing.
Yeah. Well, I'm ready to go. I mean, I have stuff to do. But definitely, I agree. Use common sense. I mean, I have found the dates to be not very closely related to reality. Sometimes it looks like I have plenty of time, and then I sniff that milk, and it's like, I ain't drinking that.
Yes.
And then other times it's the opposite, where you're just like, oh, it should be like it says it's over, but then you taste it or eat it and it's fine. I mean, honestly, like in survival, like in shows like Naked and Afraid, or even if you're just trained in survival, what do? You take a little bite, you take a little sniff, and you trust your body. Unless you're an aguizic pervert, you just decide to.
Just to be clear, not every aguizic is a pervert, nor is every pervert an aguizic.
But
there's
a lot of overlap, though. I mean, studies have shown that
maybe
99% of aguizics are perverts, and 99% of not
probably
not really, but at all.
But Ted, that the reason I learned about that in the first place was in my 20s. I went on a couple of dates with a guy that was an aguizic. I never knew of that, and he was lovely, and we remained friends. Lovely guy, but he just never heard. I mean. Anything. Right. Couldn't smell or taste anything.
That didn't affect your relationship, I would imagine.
Yeah, because sometimes he didn't know if he had BO.
Although olfactory stuff is super important. Well, did it turn you off that he was an aguizic? Were you like, oh, let's go to a wine tasting?
Yeah, like a little bit, because I love good food. I'm, I hate the term foodie, but
I'm sure he wasn't like saying, let's eat shitty food. I mean.
No, but the thing is, it didn't matter to him, and he couldn't. Like, I wanted to be able to have shared experiences with my partner, and we didn't date long enough. It was a handful of dates that we went on, and I learned about. I started because I realized this wasn't going to work because I want to share in these indulgences with my partner, I started looking at him more as like a scientific study. And I would ask all kinds of questions about how this worked. How do you, because taste is one of the like your survival instincts, right? Like you need
and
taste.
Smell is a big part of sexual attraction too.
Fire coming. Like you need to be able to smell it.
If someone smells not dirty, but they have a smell that their personal smell.
Well, when somebody's
isn't
sick,
great, isn't good to you. It might be really great to someone else, but not good to you. You're not going to be. You're just not. It's going to be hard for you to maintain that relationship.
But that's part of survival. Is like your olfactory senses are part of helping you survive. When you smell,
of course,
rotten food, you don't eat it. Like that's part of.
Right. It's literally no.
Right
it's actually dangerous for someone like him. Yeah.
Yeah. So I was like, oh, that's okay. So he's missing one of these like 5 senses, right? So I thought, okay, that's weird. But
well, I think you could argue he's missing 2, right? Because taste and
I guess taste and smell
are the same thing basically.
Yeah. And he used to like pull pranks on, and he was really funny, great guy. But that's how I learned about what aguizia was. And he was like, yeah, I forget, Ben or Jerry. He's like, one of those guys has it. And I was like, really? And I looked it up and it's like, wow, like I didn't know. And he explained that that's why their ice creams are so wacky, because he explained, I said, well, can you enjoy food if you can't taste it or smell it? Because, those are one and the same. He said, yeah. And I said, how? And he explained that it was texture. He can enjoy food for its crunch, for its, like how if something is buttery tasting to you and I, but it leaves like a coated layer on your tongue, right? If something is buttery. So even though he can't taste the buttery, he can have the sensation of the buttery.
That's super interesting.
Yeah. So it's like a different way to experience food. And he explained that that's why Ben or Jerry, one of them is the taste guy and the other one is the texture guy. And that's why there's so much texture in Ben and Jerry's. So I went, oh, wow. And ever since then, I've, so that's why couple that.
And when you broke up with him, did you say, never call me again, you aguizic freak?
You fucking weirdo. No, I was just, no, he was super nice. And I was like, I hope we can stay friends. Like, I don't think this is right for me. And
what with you being aguizic?
With you being an aguizic weirdo.
Get out of here, you aguizic fuck.
No, it was very strange. It was like too early on to be. He'd be like, "Can you sniff? Can you tell me if I have any? Like, if we're going out to dinner, he'd be like, "Do I need a shower before dinner? Can you?" Yeah, and I'd be like,
I mean, I guess that's
this is like the 4th.
If you'd been going out for a long, I was gonna say if you were married, that would be totally different.
No, this is. But I understood that this was obviously like a deficit in his senses, so he needed that sort of help. I mean, it's no different than dating somebody with kind of a handicap of some sort. Well, so he's not a pervert. No, he's not a pervert. It was just, I thought, okay, dude, this is the 4th date.
It is a handicap. It is.
So I just thought, I don't know if I should.
It's maybe not a very severe handicap, but it is.
I don't want to be sniffing your pits on the 4th date, dude. Like, I don't know you that well. So
there are people who pay good money for that, Manila.
I know, but I'm not one of them. So I was just like, I appreciate it, but I can see if this were to work out what my life would trend, right? And that's not for me.
When you're old together, hey, can you smell my underwear to see if I've been shitting myself?
Like that's not for me. And
Jill Biden's life.
Such a lovely guy. Loved him. He was great. And I'm glad that we stayed friends, very casual friends, even to this day. Very casual.
Even though he's in prison now for perversion.
No, he's not. He's a successful Jewish attorney in Los Angeles.
Successful rich dudes are never perverts. Jeffrey Epstein.
He did not seem that way. That's all I'll say. It's like the one weird quirk about him was the aguizia. And he's a lovely guy. I don't know if he's a Zionist. Never asked. That never came up. Like I said.
Not. Well, that is a form of perversion. Okay, so
Could be. All right, so that does it for us. It's Friday. It's a beautiful day outside. I'm gonna
here
go
too.
try to
Here as well.
get some sun. You guys too? Yeah, ours
Yeah,
is.
it's
We're not
I
even
need to stay
humid.
out of the sun according to my ophthalmologist, but that's a whole different topic. It's 73 here in New York. Amazing.
Ooh,
Yeah.
I think we're right around the same, and we have no humidity right now.
Yeah,
It's like
same here.
California outside.
Macy's not
Amazing.
on, which is a mercy.
Amazing. Yeah. So anyway, I hope you guys have a wonderful weekend. Thank you guys for tuning in. We'll be back on Tuesday after Labor Day.
Yay.
It'll be Tuesday. I can really get used to this 4-day show week, Ted. I feel like so much gets done.
All right.
So much to get done, like on a free day.
Have
Have
a great
a wonderful weekend, Ted.
Don't let your friends be a Gweezik, and don't be a pervert.
Just sniff each other. Be kind.
Only if
Tell your friends if they stink, is what I'm saying. And
please
taste
follow,
your food.
and share the show. Please. Okay. Bye.
Thanks, guys. Have a great weekend. Bye.
Bye.